I most sincerely thank Des for the invitation to launch the third instalment of his fascinating Wexford history. And the first thing I had to determine tonight was his name, because I would have assumed it's Des Kiley, but apparently not. It's Des Keeley, pronounced in the northern fashion. So Des Keeley, thank you very much for the kind invitation to come along here and say a few words at the launch of, as I say, the third instalment of this important Wexford repository. A recent government, not one I say that I was a member of, thought it was a good idea to remove the teaching of history from the list of required subjects for students entering second level education. That particular proposal received a number of broadsides, including one from our esteemed President, Michael Higgins. The President said that a knowledge of history was intrinsic to our shared citizenship. To be without such knowledge, he said, is to be permanently burdened with a lack of perspective, empathy, and wisdom. Needless to say, the next Minister for Education, who came in very quickly, reversed engines and restored history to the required subjects, along with maths, Irish and English, for all students entering second level education. Knowing our story, the lives, the struggles, the pain and triumphs of those who walked our street, our lands before us, is to better understand ourselves. As Martin Luther King said, we are not makers of history, we are made by history. So, where do we go to find our own story? And we are blessed in this county to have an array of both knowledgeable and talented historians. We have also, and I want to make mention of this tonight for the first time, an historian in residence appointed by Wexford County Council this year, Mr. Barry Lacey. I believe this will give a new opportunity to access the immense wealth of archival records that our council has, that occasionally get a chance to dip into when you see the county archives. And it's something I hope that will open it to every citizen who's interested in our past. So, in truth, we have no excuse to be ignorant. This third volume in the series of fascinating Wexford history, like the pair that went before it, makes that job particularly easy. Each chapter is a comprehensive story of interest, providing new insights and deepening our knowledge of things we thought we knew about, and opening a new vista on things that are completely new to us. In my own foreword in this particular volume, not surprisingly, I referenced the 1911-1912 lockout. That period in our town's history set in train events and happenings that reverberate and echo right through to today, not least on my own political life and journey. But another chapter deals with the relationship between Charles Stewart Parnell and John Redmond. From the very opening sentences of the chapter, we learn new things, or at least I did. That Parnell's mother, Delia Stewart, was the daughter of Admiral Charles Stewart, USN, who who served under our own Commodore John Barry on board the USS United States. So all history is interwoven and connected. As we map our way now through the centenary of so many events that were seminal in the shaping of our own nation, events that, as we know, even from this year, can evoke very strong passions. A focus on pre-revolutionary period, I think, is very instructive. The work over decades of the Home Rule Party, later the Irish Parliamentary Party, in advancing the cause of Ireland and self-determination has, I suppose, somewhat understandably, been overtaken with the more turbulent events of the 20th century. Under pressure from Home Rulers, Gladstone's first Home Rule Bill was introduced into the Westminster Parliament in 1886. It, of course, was defeated, not before it caused riots in Belfast and the mobilisation of very determined opposition to the whole concept of Home Rule, including the revival of the Orange Order. Although Parnell died a few short years later in 1891, aged only 45, Wexford's John Redmond remained loyal to both Parnell himself and to his political vision. A second Home Rule Bill was again defeated in 1893, but with a finally united Irish parliamentary party behind him and a powerful voice in Westminster after the most recent election, Redmond achieved his life's ambition in 1914 with the passing through both houses in Westminster of all stages of the Government of Ireland Act. A House of Lords amendment was proposed to temporarily exclude the Ulster counties from that act, and Asquith, the Prime Minister himself, proposed the temporary exclusion of 6 counties from the territory of the new Irish government and Parliament. That temporary exclusion has proven somewhat long-lasting. The story of Wexford families is particularly intriguing, and I'm delighted to meet a descendant of Dr. George Haddon, because Dr. George Haddon was a figure known to me in my youth, and to, I'm sure, several people here. Obviously, Haddon's store on the main street was one of the county's prime retail centres. But other than his work in local organisations, most notably the Wexford Historical Society, which he, along with others, founded as the Old Wexford Society, I actually knew very little of Dr. George Haddon. When I sat as a member of Wexford Corporation quite a few years ago, in the then municipal buildings, or for, I suppose, people with even longer memories, the old Tate School, a picture of Dr. Haddon graced our meeting chamber. I learned from Des's book of Dr. Haddon's life, a life of adventure that would put Indiana Jones in the halfpenny place. Travels across China, journeys on the Trans-Siberian Railway, encounters with the White Russian allies in the Czechoslovakian Legion doing battle with the Bolsheviks. Having exhausted himself in the Urals and in the Far East, he didn't come home to retire. He decided then to venture to Africa to continue his medical missionary work. It's a life story beyond fiction. But these are but glimpses into the delights that await you in Des Keeley's book. I defy you to put it down. You'll want to keep it within arm's reach, to dip into it again and again, because it's a treasure box of exquisite tales. So I want to, again, thank you, Des,
thank you,
for your dedication, for your scholarship. You provided Wexford folk with a new and important reference store, and much more importantly, we've solved some of my Christmas present dilemmas. Thank you very much.
that sounds good. How can you follow Brendan Howlin? Anyway, okay, I'll try. I'll quote from a philosopher, Thomas Hobbes, who said, "Curiosity is the lust of the mind." And I certainly have a curiosity for everything Wexford and Wexford County and surroundings. I've now written 1,000 pages on Wexford history. I can't believe this is my